Hello and welcome to Spirit of Life. I'm Mirella Rich. Today our guest is Lastman, who is founder of Victims of Abortions Australia and also is a post-abortion grief counsellor. Welcome to the program, Anne.
Thank you, Mirella. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. Can you tell us, now there is this new legislation that will be happening or being debated on the 7th of October to legalise abortion officially. Can you tell us what is going on in that area and how can we prevent it?
Actually, it's to decriminalise
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the most awful bills to ever be brought through in the House of Parliament, because what this actually does is it takes away from infants in the womb, technically up to 40 weeks, any rights or protection that they have. You and I, and even a lobster, has the rights to be protected, but an infant in the womb has absolutely no rights, because what they're proposing is that free abortion to 24 weeks. And from 24 weeks to 40 weeks, so long as two doctors will sign, an abortion can be got. So technically what we're saying is that an infant up to 40 weeks has no protection against harm or against danger or against mutilation or against killing.
So maybe
in the womb.
Maybe people just aren't educated in the seriousness of it. Maybe you can help us see. A lot of people would say, they would desensitise themselves and say it's just a fetus or it's not a human being yet. It's just a cell, so it's okay to do that. How can you educate these people? Because maybe there's just a lot of ignorance on it. Maybe you can enlighten some people.
Okay, we can say that the first day it's a cell, but within that cell there's all the information that has made you what you are today and me what I am today. But okay, the first day it's a cell, but at 24 weeks, 20 weeks, or 12 weeks, it's a fully formed and developed human being, someone's son or daughter, their little baby. It's not a fetus. I think, Mirella, I have a huge peeve. I hate the language that is used around pregnancy these days. I think, I'm sorry, but the abortion industry has sabotaged our language. When you and I get pregnant and we want a baby, we speak baby. When a baby is unwanted, it's a fetus. It's a product of conception. It's a bunch of cells. It's tissue. Now, you know and I know that the word fetus is, this is a language used by the medical industry. But normal people, when I rang up my husband after I'd been to the doctor to tell him, darling, I'm pregnant, we're having a baby. In 8 months we're having a baby. It was a baby we were having. But when it's not wanted, when it's an inconvenient pregnancy, well, it becomes all these euphemisms so that there is no imagery in the mind. People think, I'm always surprised that people have no idea what happens in an abortion.
Yeah.
It really is a huge surprise to me in a culture like ours that's so learned. And you've got internet where you've got information available. In fact, you've got information overload.
Maybe people don't really want to know, and that's why they want to be desensitised to it. But then we're not really making educated decisions. If our taxes are going to pay for this through Medicare, then
absolutely
we should know where it's going. So can you tell us what actually happens in an abortion? Even though this is gruesome,
it is very gruesome. It is very gruesome, and I wish that people would understand and please pick up their biros and pens and write and ring their politicians, especially those who will be voting in the upper house. Please don't let it get through. what this means is that, for example, you may have a curette in the first 10 weeks where a baby's cut up in pieces and scraped out. You may, there may be even saline solution, where a solution is injected into the amniotic sac and it burns the baby. Especially, these are the older babies in the womb. And then there's the very, very, very gruesome partial birth abortion, where forceps are used to turn the baby feet first out. The baby is delivered up to the head stage where it remains in the birth canal. Then scissors pierce the base of the skull, and its brains are suctioned out. The skull collapses, and guess what? You've got a dead baby, which is technically a stillbirth. It's dead. It was still in the womb, so it's a stillbirth. Had it been delivered and then that performed, it would have been murder, infanticide. But because it was still in the birth canal, it isn't. It's this technicality. And now, what's the difference between a baby in the womb and one that's out of the womb? There's very little difference. In fact, there's no difference at all. It's still the same baby.
And off camera, we were talking really beautifully about the father's role in this pregnancy and the amniotic sac. Can you explain that to people, to fathers, because they probably feel like they're not carrying the baby, they're not really going through it. So their role is important.
I read a study, and I'm sorry I told you, I should have brought it, but I left it home. It was a study that spoke about that in the genetic material of the male are written the instructions that from the moment of conception, the moment that the sperm pierces the ovum, within this genetic material are the instructions in the father's genetic material to begin the building of the amniotic sac. It's not the mother. It's the father. It's the father who builds his baby the house to protect it.
Oh, that's so gorgeous.
So why, when from all time he's meant to be its protector, why does he take his infant to be aborted? These male politicians.
Maybe it's lack of education, lack of understanding. But we've got to go to a break, but we'll actually continue on that topic.
All right. Okay.
You're watching Spirit of Life. Stay with us. We'll be back with more very shortly. Hello and welcome back to Spirit of Life. I'm Mirella Rich. If you've just joined us, we're here with Anne Lastman, who is founder of Victims of Abortion Australia and post-abortion grief counsellor. Welcome back to the program, Anne.
Thank you, Mirella.
And before we went to the break, we were talking a little bit about the father's role. What were some other